These days, it's not uncommon to meet people who grew up in religious households, who once followed every rule and ritual, yet quietly admit, I don't really believe anymore. They're not angry, nor are they dramatic about it. They simply stepped away. What they share in common is thoughtfulness. They are curious, well-read, always asking questions, and never satisfied with the answer, because that's how it's always been. A quiet shift is happening. As more people gain access to information, education, and the tools of critical thinking, more and more are choosing to walk away from religion. And this departure isn't born out of rebellion or anger. It's often a slow unfolding. It begins with 1,000 small questions that never seem to find clear answers. A story that doesn't quite make sense. A miracle that contradicts the laws of physics. A talking animal. A great flood that supposedly carried every species on one wooden boat. At first, people try to reconcile it. They're told it's symbolic, or that it's beyond human logic. But as they learn more about nature, about how disease spreads, how the universe formed, or how psychology shapes belief, those old explanations begin to sound thin. When intelligent people notice these inconsistencies, they don't just let them pass, they dig deeper. Many begin to see a disconnect between the moral teachings they were raised with and the actual text those teachings came from. They were told their faith is about love, peace, and kindness. But when they read the scriptures for themselves, they find passages that condone slavery, demand harsh punishments, or treat women as property. And they start to ask, why are these things condemned in modern society but justified in holy books? The answers they receive are often complex rationalizations, selective memory, or evasive explanations. But thoughtful people don't look away. They keep reading. They keep questioning. Education also plays a powerful role, though not because it directly tells people to reject religion. In fact, most schools and universities avoid directly confronting belief. But higher education does something else. It teaches people how to think, not what to think. It trains them to evaluate evidence, to ask sharper questions, and to recognize logical fallacies. And once someone develops these tools, they inevitably begin applying them to everything, including the very beliefs they grew up with. This is often when a quiet realization begins to form. While science treats doubt as the starting point for discovery, religion often treats doubt as a weakness. And that contrast becomes impossible to ignore. There's also the reality of diversity. Intelligent people often live in environments where they interact with people from many cultures and faiths, and they begin to notice something striking. Everyone is just as certain. Every tradition claims to hold the ultimate truth, yet their details, prophets, scriptures, rituals don't match. And if everyone is equally confident, but their beliefs contradict one another, then logic demands that either all are wrong, or at the very least, most are. It becomes hard to believe that eternal truth just happened to be revealed in one specific place, in one specific language, to one specific group of people. That begins to feel arbitrary, especially when salvation, morality, and even one's social acceptance depend entirely on which set of ancient stories someone happened to be born into. Technology has also accelerated this quiet shift. In the past, religious institutions controlled knowledge. People heard only what leaders told them, and they read only what was approved. But today, anyone with a smartphone can instantly access ancient texts, explore them in their original languages, and read commentary, criticism, archaeology, and psychology. A curious teenager today can uncover information that was hidden behind academic paywalls just a few decades ago. And when people discover patterns, like how many religious rituals overlap with older pagan traditions, or how myths across cultures recycle the same themes, they begin to question the origins of these stories. What once seemed sacred and unique now looks human-made, a patchwork of traditions passed down, reinterpreted, and reshaped over centuries. Another reason intelligent people step away from religion is because they no longer feel the need for supernatural explanations. In earlier times, religion filled the gaps. Thunder was the gods showing anger. A bad harvest was a curse. Death was a divine test. These explanations once gave people a sense of order, even if they weren't accurate. But today, science has revealed so much. We know about biology, how the body works, how diseases spread. We understand meteorology and why storms form. We see through astronomy how planets move, how galaxies evolve, and how the universe itself began. And while there are still countless mysteries we haven't solved, thoughtful people have become more comfortable with not knowing yet, rather than inventing an answer just to feel safe. That shift, accepting uncertainty instead of clinging to myths, feels liberating. It removes the pressure to force an explanation and instead opens space for curiosity, exploration, and humility in the face of life's vast unknowns. Another shift happens when intelligent people look at how religion encourages certain behaviors. They begin to notice that what's rewarded isn't always honesty, but obedience. From a young age, many are taught that it's wrong to question too deeply, that doubt is a temptation, and that faith means accepting answers without pushing too far. But for curious, thoughtful people, doubt isn't a weakness, it's a tool. Doubt is what allows humanity to progress. Every breakthrough in science, every reform in society, every new discovery begins with someone daring to ask, what if this isn't true? What if there's another explanation? When religion discourages this natural process and instead insists on submission, it creates tension. For intelligent minds, it's not about rejecting tradition for the sake of rebellion. It's about staying true to the very process that leads to growth and understanding. To them, unquestioning obedience feels like a cage, while honest doubt feels like a door opening to new worlds. Social dynamics also play a role in why intelligent people step away from religion. In many communities, belief is tightly tied to identity. Religion isn't just a matter of faith. It defines who you are, who your family is, who you marry, even how you live. For someone who values autonomy and independent thought, this can feel confining. They start to notice when belief is being used more to enforce loyalty than to seek truth. When leaving a faith suddenly makes you an outsider, it signals that the system is as much about control and conformity as it is about morality or meaning. That realization is powerful. It shows that religion is not simply a guide for living ethically, but a social mechanism for maintaining order and allegiance. For intelligent minds, this is a red flag. It forces them to question whether the values and rules they've been following were ever rooted in reason, or if they were primarily inherited patterns meant to keep the community cohesive. Even the concept of morality is reevaluated. Many are taught that religion is the source of goodness, that without it, humans would descend into chaos. But intelligent people study history and see moral progress unfolding over time, like the abolition of slavery, the rise of women's rights, and the ongoing fight for equality. Often, these advancements happened in spite of religious institutions, not because of them. Some of the greatest moral thinkers challenged religious norms. They weren't praised at the time, but history now admires their courage and insight. That realization leads many to question whether morality truly depends on religion at all. They see that ethical behavior and compassion can exist independently of faith. This shift is reinforced by understanding human psychology, confirmation bias, pattern seeking, and the way the brain interprets experiences like prayer or answered wishes. People begin to see that feelings of connection, guidance, or reassurance don't require a divine source. They can emerge from human perception, interpretation, and social interaction. In short, meaning doesn't have to be handed down from a higher power. It can be created, cultivated, and lived through one's own actions, relationships, and understanding of the world. Another reason people quietly step away from religion is the silence of unanswered questions. They ask, if there is a loving God, why is there so much needless suffering? And the answers they hear are vague. It's part of a divine plan. Or you can't understand it. For intelligent people who have spent years learning to analyze systems, solve complex problems, and think critically, these answers feel insufficient. It's not arrogance, it's a desire for honesty, depth, and clarity. Many don't leave out of anger or rebellion. They leave because they expected religion to engage their intellect and their curiosity, and it did not. They expected depth, consistency, and rigorous reasoning. When it falls short, when the teachings are evasive or contradictory, they step back quietly, seeking something more authentic. Intelligent people also notice patterns across different religions. They see common structures: creation myths, prophets or founders, rituals, rules, and stories of reward and punishment. These elements often served practical needs, agriculture, warfare, politics, social cohesion, rather than revealing universal truths. Studying anthropology and history shows them that religion likely evolved as a human tool to bind communities, enforce cooperation, and maintain order. But in modern society, we have laws, education, psychology, and shared human values to fulfill those roles. Recognizing that religion is a human creation, not divine revelation, changes everything. Morality, they realize, doesn't require scripture. Being good isn't limited to those who follow sacred texts. They meet compassionate, ethical people who are non-religious and see that some of the cruelest acts in history were committed in the name of belief. Intelligence encourages looking at actions, not labels. This shift away from religion isn't always dramatic. Sometimes it's quiet. It looks like someone closing a sacred book, setting it aside, and picking up a philosophy text, a science paper, or a memoir. They're still searching, but now across a wider field. It's not about being superior to anyone. It's about wanting beliefs that hold up to scrutiny, that don't demand suspension of thought, that grow with understanding instead of relying on what they were told as children. Increasingly, intelligent people embrace uncertainty. They accept the unknown not as a threat, but as an invitation. They stop inheriting answers and begin building their own, slowly, honestly, and often quietly, leaving behind what no longer fits. Some do this without ever saying the words aloud. Some never tell family or even close friends. They simply shift, stop pretending, and start trusting their own questions. There's no need for conflict, no need to fight those who believe differently. Leaving religion becomes a path to freedom, a road where truth is pursued, not inherited, where it's okay to say, I don't know, and to ask the next question, and the one after that. That freedom feels light. It isn't weighed down by guilt, fear, rituals, or authority. It simply asks one to think clearly, live honestly, and care deeply. In a world full of unknowns, some people find peace not in certainty, but in curiosity, not in doctrine, but in discovery. They're not seeking perfect answers, they're seeking better questions. These questions guide them to books, conversations, late-night reflections, quiet realizations. They aren't written in stone nor proclaimed from a pulpit. They simply emerge over time, personally and quietly. This is why so many thoughtful people are leaving religion. It's not because they are lost or resentful, but because they are discovering something else, something honest, something that doesn't require pretending, something that grows with them rather than holding them in place. They leave not to abandon meaning, but to create it. And in many ways, that is the most human pursuit of all. Before you go, take a moment to share where you're listening from and what time it is right now. It's always fascinating to see where in the world these words reach. If you'd like more thoughtful, honest reflections like this one, consider subscribing. There are many more ideas to explore and share, and I look forward to continuing this journey with you. Thank you for being here, and I'll see you again soon.